The proclamation is like a contract between the monarch and the people. As commentator David Starkey said, quote, "The king is king by the will of the people," unquote. This arrangement was first made between the British Parliament and the joint monarchs William III and Mary II in 1689, setting out the limitations of the power of the Crown and guaranteeing certain rights to civilians. Australians can, if they wish, terminate this contract by a referendum to alter our constitution. The question is, why would we? We have just witnessed the seamless, indeed entertaining and celebratory transition of power from the Queen of Australia to her son, the King. Meanwhile, the last two transitions of power from one president to the next in the United States have been increasingly rancorous, have corrupted federal bureaucracies and nudged the nation ever closer to a civil war. It started with Hillary Clinton financing an investigation into Donald Trump's links to Russia in 2016. Much of the world's media, including Australia's ABC and the FBI, gave the investigation enormous credence. But Trump won the election anyway. The investigation has since been exposed as a hoax, but Clinton has never been thoroughly investigated, let alone charged for her involvement with it. Trump's allegation that the 2020 election was rigged led to the relatively peaceful storming of the Capitol building in Washington on January 6 last year, many of the perpetrators of which spent months in solitary confinement as virtual political prisoners in their own country, even while far more violent Democrat-supporting rioters burned and looted cities across the US. Under Joe Biden, the FBI has raided Trump's home on spurious grounds, despite serious and highly credible allegations of corruption against Biden himself and his son Hunter, as well as Clinton. And according to Steve Bannon, the FBI raided the homes of 35 Trump allies on Friday. Curiously, they did it while the world was distracted by Elizabeth's passing. The indications in the US are that this deep social divide is now almost beyond repair. It's difficult to imagine any democratic transition of power there without more social upheaval, political retribution, and random outbreaks of violence. Aren't we lucky to be avoiding that here in Australia? Would we become more like the US if we became a republic? I'd say we almost certainly would. We are already more divided than ever, thanks to social media and the breakdown of the unifying cultural ballast of religion and patriotism. To most of us, Elizabeth personified the virtues of service, humour, modesty, and hard work. But her death doesn't, as the Republicans predicted, mean those virtues are now gone. On the contrary, her passing reminds us how important these virtues are and how inextricable they are from our current political system. My guess is that Charles is feeling this more than ever right now. Australia has, in some ways, evolved into an even better country than Britain. We're certainly more prosperous and egalitarian. But that doesn't mean we must inevitably, as the Republicans keep telling us we will, sever ties with the monarchy. It is perfectly reasonable to both love Australia and still value our ties to Britain. This is how I think most of us feel today. The Republicans just don't seem to understand this and probably never will.